Hello, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Business of Design interview series. We're so pleased to mark the 10th anniversary of Keith Granet's important book with a new edition, and we're marking it with a series of interviews conducted by Keith Granet with top designers like Jan Showers about how they all succeeded in the business of design. Studio Designer is the leading digital project management, product sourcing, and accounting platform for the interior design industry. We will be taking your questions near the end of the interview. Submit them by typing them into the Q&A area as seen on the right. And now here's Keith to introduce Jan.
Thank you, Lauren. Welcome everybody to our second interview series for Studio Designer. And we're really excited today to have Jan Showers. For those of you who don't know Jan, which is hard to believe, she has been a longtime friend and client and an incredible talent that has had 3 decades of her business. She's an AD 100 designer. She this year was the inaugural chair of the new Kips Bay Show House in Dallas, and will be doing the same in the coming year. She has a furniture collection that is quite successful and an antique business. And also, together we helped launch her line with Kravet Couture. And I think the most sort of rewarding to me and part of Jan that's the best is her family life. She's had this long relationship and marriage to her husband and 2 daughters. And it's sort of the hallmark of everything she is today. And her talent has been seen in 3 books. The latest one, Glamorous Living, about a year ago, I think, Jan. Or maybe, you know what, we lost a year with COVID, so it's
well, it was September, yeah.
Yeah. But welcome, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm excited to talk about all this.
So, I've known you for a long time, and we've talked about a bunch of things, and I think the audience would love to know. I mean, you've always been juggling this nationally known design business, your product lines and showrooms. You do think a business that one business supports the other.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it has differentiated you in the marketplace from other designers?
Well, when I opened my showroom in 1996, and actually had antiques and set the showroom up as though there were like 12 different rooms in the showroom, that very much helped me differentiate myself from most other designers. And I wanted to do that because I love antiques. So that had a lot to do with that part of it. And then 3 years later, in 99, I just decided that I was making all of these really fabulous pieces for clients because we couldn't find them anywhere. And so what we did is we started making them with all of our wonderful workrooms that we had here in Dallas and have here in Dallas. And so I thought, why is this not a furniture line? Which I knew nothing about manufacturing at that point, nothing. And it led me to, I was on vacation, by the way. So that's when, I get the most creative. So I'm calling everybody in Dallas and telling them to start making this, that, everything, By the time I get back, which is a month later, I find all these things are done. And I have a very, very small collection. There might have been 15 pieces. And so that started the Jan Showers collection line. And that's been wonderful because people do love that. And it's definitely helped my business in every way. And then you and I got together and you found a wonderful partner for me in Kravet Couture. And I think Scott Kravet at the first was going to do fabrics with me, and then heard me speak in New York, and he asked me if I would do all these things, everything really, and lighting, carpets, furniture, furniture, which I really at that point really knew how to do. And so we did all those things, and that's been very rewarding as well. So that's another whole area.
And you also, I mean, you have a big following on your lighting line as well, the Murano lights, right?
Well, actually, I do. No, I don't have any. I don't have a lighting line. We can get to that later. I'll tell you more about that when you ask me what I want to do next.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I do have a lamp line that
That's what I mean. Sorry, yeah.
lamp line that I did with Joe Cariotti in LA. Yeah, but I've specialized in my showroom. Well, I won't say specialized, but I certainly love them. And lamps, antique lamps, and antique chandeliers and sconces and all those things. So, yeah.
So, you know, what's interesting to me, you know, we were all like Instagram junkies a little bit more than we ever were because
Yeah,
that's where, you know, you get
of
exposed
course.
to the situation.
Of
And
course.
when I scroll through my Instagram and I can instantly tell it's one of your shots.
Really?
I really can. I mean, and it's not that they're formulaic or it's the same look every time.
No.
It's really that there's something so elegant and just how all those pieces come together. It just says to me, you. And I'm wondering
Thank you.
what you
Um,
think that trick of sort not a trick, but putting things that make it sort of recognizable but yet unique.
I think that's interesting because what we try to do with every client is know them personally and represent them really well in what we do. So to me, I see differences, but I know what you're talking about. I think it has to do with the comfort quotient. I think I really like things to look comfortable. I really want rooms to look as though, I really would like to go in there and sit down. That looks like a room. I'd like to go in and have a cup of coffee or a drink or whatever with that client. And so I feel like that may be, I hope that's what it is because it's always about the client, always. But I think comfort has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I definitely see the comfort. I also think the color palette,
Uh,
though it can vary, it reads you a lot. I mean,
Thank you. Well, I mean, there's certain colors I do love, but it depends on the client. I may have a brunette and we do totally different colors. It depends on what they look good in, actually. But I would say there are certain colors I do love and I do present to clients because they all look good in these particular colors. you know and if you don't look good and feel great in a room, why bother? Why even do it? That's the whole point. I mean, you're spending a lot of money, so you might as well look great when you walk into the room.
yeah, for sure. And I think there's a whole science to color and making
Oh,
sure.
totally. I'm so into color, and I'm so into certain people who mix colors and do all these things. I love all that.
Yeah, it's obvious for sure.
Mhm.
So let's talk about, you mentioned the Kravet Couture collection.
Mhm.
Do you think, going from antiques and custom-made furniture to working with a big manufacturer like Kravet
Mhm.
has helped your other product lines? Do you
Oh, of
think?
course. Oh, yes. Yes. Because uh, the Kravet line is certainly uh, not inexpensive, but it's not quite as expensive as my line. And it has the same sort of attitude, I guess I'd use, as mine does. And so I think, at different levels, that's wonderful. I mean, of course. And it's certainly been things that we can use when we do homes um, that I'm so proud of.
Do you think having a company like Kravet that's nationally known has helped raise sort of the awareness of your brand?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because it's so nationally known and it's known everywhere. You know, they either have showrooms or represented in what 250 or more. You probably know more than I do about that, but I know it's tons of places. So yes, absolutely, it's great.
Yeah.
And the fun thing for me has been working with the team there, because the team there is just great. I mean, we have great people in Mi Young, in fabric line, and Maria Brennan in furniture. And they're all, I just feel like I'm part of that family, you know, I really do.
You know, I've worked with many, many companies through the years, just in all the licensing we've done, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, it starts at the top. I mean, the Kravets
It
themselves
does.
are salt of
That's
the
right.
earth. And they're
They are.
just,
They're amazing. Yep. They're
uh,
amazing.
great. And I think the idea of bringing you to Kravet Couture, which you know is their highest end brand,
Yes.
really it helped them to have somebody like you, and I think it helped you to be in that category versus you know just sort of being you know in
Yeah,
maybe the other tiers.
it did. It
Yeah.
absolutely did. We have a new fabric line coming out this fall. I'm so excited about it. It's very varied. We don't have wallpapers with it this time, and I think the next thing I do, we have wallpapers already with them, but next thing I do, I really want to do a line of wallpapers for them.
Mhm.
I think that's super important right now.
It is. It seems like there's a lot of attention to wall, what has been for probably the
Oh yeah,
last years or
oh,
so.
totally. And I think we can do some wonderful things. I really do. But the fabric lines are beautiful, and we have certain things that I couldn't find in many lines, um, that I wanted to, that I really felt like we needed as designers. And so there's a lot of that in this. There's a lot of new colors. There's a print I am absolutely crazy about. So yeah, I mean it's a different line.
Right. Yeah, you know, I'm often asked about, you know, designers doing licensing, and at the end of the day, it's the product that has to sell. It has to be good
Yeah, of
product. It
course.
has to
Yeah,
be something that's a hole in the market that you see, you know, with a different eye, whether it's a different colorway, sorry, whether it's, you know, just a scale change in a pattern,
yeah,
all of those things. I
right.
remember one of our first meetings there, and when you presented, you know, they were like, yeah, well, let's consider it. And then Scott was like, oh my God, show me more, bring me more, bring me more. It was
Yeah,
like a candy store.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
Well,
I,
I had a lot of ideas. Some of them were, realized, and some of them weren't. But I was pleased with what we did. I loved what we did.
yeah.
And the quality is really there.
So when it comes times to your own products, do you wind up selling them for your interior design clients? Do you use them a fair amount of
Sure,
time?
sure. Yeah,
Both I'm assuming the antiques you buy because you probably are shopping with that eye, but
yeah,
also you know the things that you've designed yourself.
yes, absolutely.
And how do clients ever you know say anything about that, or they ask for that ever?
Well, because we use so many different lines. I mean, when you're decorating and you're doing a house, I mean, there are just so many different things different lines that you use. And so uh, I don't think people come to me thinking, oh, I'm just going to be able to buy Jan Showers everything, because I don't actually think that way. Uh, if we need something that's an antique, we need an antique, and it may be something that I have, or it may be something I have to find at another antique store. And so you need to be very open about where you're buying things. So no, I don't. But a lot of people come to me because they've seen in my books, or they've seen advertisements or whatever of what I do, as far as creating for Jan Shower's collection, for Kravet. They've seen all that and they like it, and that's what they want. They come in with pictures of those things.
So you must have a large following in the design community, not just the consumer.
Um, well, we have a lot of, as far as clients in the office, in the showroom, we
Yeah.
have lots of really great designers who shop with us. Yeah.
Um,
Particularly for fabulous chandeliers, wonderful lighting. We always have beautiful coffee tables that are hard to find. They're vintage or antique. So yeah, I mean, we do have that. That's fun, and I love other designers. And it was funny because in the beginning, I think people in the very like 1996, I think they thought, okay, that's somebody else's. That other designers said that's somebody else's, and we don't want to go in there. Well, that changed completely. Um, After a couple of years. And so, they come in and they feel welcome, and they know that I'm not going to be there trying to take their client away from them, at all, ever. Um, I welcome other designers because, we all do something that's a bit different. And there's plenty of room, believe me, in Dallas, Texas for all of us.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Bigger in Texas, and it's really, really Dallas and Austin right now are the hottest markets.
Yeah. I get that question asked all the time. It's like, well, if I have a designer design a collection for me, are other designers going to buy from them? And I said yes. I mean,
yeah.
it's very rare that someone says, I won't touch that because it's designed by.
Oh, yeah, that's silly. If I like it, I don't care where it came from. It doesn't matter to me at all. If I like it and it's right for the project, then I'm going to use it.
I remember you have that coffee table that has the I don't think what the crystal, they're not like crystal legs, but they're
Lucite.
lucite legs.
Yeah.
That was your number one seller. Is that still?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. The problem with that table, we have had a problem with that table, which we're working on now, is that the man who was making it was a master at doing it, but he felt that he needed to charge a lot more than he was, and he was going to triple the price to me. Therefore, I had to discontinue that table. I still have, I think, maybe 2 or 3. I know Suzanne Kessler is a huge fan. She uses them all the time. And I think if I have 2 or 3 left over, she's going to want to buy them. But honestly, we have somebody else now who we think can do it at a normal price, because the price was going to be so high that no one would have been able to buy it. That's if I'd stayed with the original guy.
Was it the lucite that was the expensive piece?
No, it was architectural bronze. He made it out of the best. I mean, and you'll see things with lucite, and they came from Asia, and they are bluish. And this thing was perfect, So there's the issue. That's what people are looking for, and so we're working on it. That's all I can say. We're still working on it. It just hasn't gotten there yet, but we're hoping it will.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. It is so beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
So switching gears for a second, you've been a longtime user of Studio, which our users
right.
are
Long time, yes.
And how have you felt it's helped manage your office?
Oh, my designers love it. It makes their lives so much easier. I mean, when I'm on the phone and I'm asking questions, and I'll be honest, I don't use it because I'm not the one that needs to use it. They're the ones who need to use it. Yeah. And I'm asking all these questions, and they can answer these questions just like that, because they just say, okay, just a minute, let me get to that. They put it in, it's all there. And believe me, I ask a lot of questions. So that's wonderful for them. It really, really is. And I think, I'd love for you to interview Zara about that, because she knows so much about it. Yeah. If I used it as much as they did, I would be able to answer even more. But I do know they love it. Yes, it's huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, we do hear that all the time, which is great. And we're always
That's
improving on it and making it
exactly where you are with everything.
exactly. Yeah. You mentioned Zara. I mean, talk to me just a little bit about, you know, when you promoted her and how that's been going as far as being in office.
Well, she came to me about 16 years ago, and she is so talented. And she was just out of school. I think she had one internship at that point. And she came to me, and I just saw so much potential in her and really liked her from the very beginning. In fact, when she walked into interview, I, within 5 minutes, knew I was going to hire her. And, she didn't know it, but I did. But I did check her references for sure. But anyway, so and a lot of times I hire people who have been interns because then you can see what they can do. And I think I've heard Charlotte Moss say that's kind of like dating. You can see if you like them or not, if they're interns. And I agree with that. But Tara wasn't that way. It was just, I just knew. And so she is just very, very, very talented. And she is not happy until everybody and the every client we have is happy at the end of the day. And she won't go home and she won't stop until they are.
Wow.
And she's just super talented. I mean, I could talk about her for a long time, but she is promoted to, she is over all operations at Jan Showers. So she covers collection, she covers antique. I mean, she's over everything at Jan Showers, which is a hard job, but she's risen through the ranks in all these years and it does well.
Well, 16 years.
And deserves to do well.
Well, 16 years says a lot. Says a lot about you.
Yeah. And I I love her. So that's another part of it, that we are such good friends, and I think of her as a partner, and
Yeah, that's great. Everybody needs a Zara, right?
yes they do. Yes they do.
I mean, look, when you have somebody behind you that is supporting your business, it actually frees you up to be more creative.
That's exactly right. It's almost like, she owns the business, and that's so different from somebody just managing. She feels like, it's hers too, and that's different.
Right.
David Sutherland had someone like that he has several people like that, but he had someone like that in LA. And I always said, it's like you're an owner of the business, and he's a manager, but that's how I feel about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an important find to the success of most businesses.
It is.
People who really care about it enough that it's theirs.
Because then you're able to, the books are so important. I mean, people come in to see us and they have the books in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that really makes a difference. And, for me to be able to do that, so much, credit goes to her, because she helps me with them and toward the end. And then she also, just gives me the time to do it.
Right. Do you have, because your name is on the door, does she ever get any pushback that, well, I'd rather talk to Jan?
Does she what?
Does she get any pushback like, I'd rather talk to Jan than her?
You know what? Very few. I mean, yeah, there are people who are going to say, and I'm in meetings, and I know what's going on. Everybody knows I know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I keep up with what's happening. Always. And I'm always involved in the concept of every project. That's my favorite thing. I love the concept. I love placing furniture. I love all that. And I like to come up with a, overall idea. And what about this house inspires me and all that. So there are people, yeah, who will ask, and that's why Zara always, I mean, with any little thing, she sends me an email or she asks me on the phone or whatever, or if I'm there, she says, you know, what do you think about this? And so we know, I know pretty much everything she knows, pretty much. If she's listening, I hope I'm right, Zara. Probably not. I'm sure she protects me. She protects me a lot from anything that's not going too well, probably, unless it gets really bad.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to studio designer, you know, I know that it's not something that you spend time in, and your team does, but if you could think of features that would be really important, what do you think we could add to it?
I think you could add like images.
Mhm.
I think that would help people, don't you? I think that would be something that would really work. There's something else I wrote down. Hold on one second. Um, Maybe a lifestyle or image board, like for each person on it, maybe something like that.
You mean for clients to have like
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
an image board where,
Right.
yeah, I mean, we've been thinking about that quite a bit because, you know, once you actually decide to buy something or that you're, you know, even almost before a client approves it, if you put it into our system, it means you're probably 90% certain you're going to buy it. But
Right.
there's those early phases where, you know, you're
Yeah.
researching and you're
Mm-hmm.
posing many different choices and then finally selecting, and
Mm-hmm.
just the ability to keep those in a visual way, especially during COVID, we realized that clients are okay communicating through Zoom and having those meetings. And so if we had something that was attached to the software where as they said yes and you selected that image, it could then take all the data associated with that and enter it into the system.
That would
And
be so great. That would
yeah,
be so great.
yeah, so
Um,
that's
yeah, I think we'd all love that.
it's definitely on my list of
Yeah,
new enhancements that,
I can see why.
yeah,
Yeah, I can understand that
great.
for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's wonderful. So let's talk about your traveling, because I know you've done extensive traveling, and oftentimes I try to find you and I'm like, oh, I'm off to Paris again, or
Yeah.
um,
Oh, yeah. This has been, what happened last year. We got so lucky. Zara and Jim and I all went to Paris, went to uh, London and then Brussels, and we were headed to Paris. And I ended up buying things in Paris because there were people there who were sending me pictures. But on March the 10th, I said, we have got to get back home. It's
really,
really bad. We went on March the 1st. We bought a full 40-foot container. And so I looked at Jim and I said, it's gotten bad in Paris. We've got to get out of here. And he and Zara both agreed. So we were able to get on a plane. As we landed, the president closed down the US and we got off, and it was no one was in, we didn't have anybody to go through customs with us. In the next 2 days, it was like a complete just sardines packed into customs in Dallas, DFW. We saw it on TV. So we were very, very, very fortunate that we had been in two places that hadn't gotten there yet. And we had a 40-foot container, which was great. A lot of it went to a special project we were doing. So then, since then, we bought two containers virtually. And of course, I don't like it as much doing that, but
right?
I'm dealing with dealers who um, I trust and I know, not that many of them, but anyway. So we're planning on going back in October. That's our plan right now. Now, whether that's going to happen, I don't know. But I will continue buying virtually. I think I have a 40-foot on the water now. I think it's
Oh, okay.
big. This is a big one. I had a 20-foot and we had it in the showroom, and within 1 month it had sold. Everything had sold. I think one table or two tables were still at the refinisher. And so those didn't sell because they were not there.
Yeah, we're hearing that all. I mean, we were in High Point for market in
Yeah.
last month, and they're saying that their designers are showing up to buy whatever they can off the floor because they can't get anything. I mean,
That's exactly right. Well, of course, I'm pushing that with all my antiques. I mean, whatever you need for Kips Bay, I'm telling all these designers who are coming from out of town, you can find it in Dallas. There are wonderful antique stores here.
Yeah.
And so if you need to do that because of rushing, they're all having to rush, then we've got it.
That's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to have any problem selling it. I'm sure actually you were saying your
Yeah.
things on the website, I'm sure it would sell before it even landed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They do. Because we have images of them, and so we'll show those to client, and a lot of them sell that way as well.
So what are your sort of two favorite locations for inspiration?
Well, I saw that question and I thought, I can't think of two. So I thought of three. I narrowed it down to three, which was really hard. But Paris and Venice, Jim and I both have a special love for Venice. And we go there because my lamps for the collection, Jan Shower's collection, are produced on Murano. So it's a great reason we have to go almost every time we go. And we love that. But I also love New York, I have to say.
Wow.
New York, I think New York inspires me because of the energy there. I know a lot of people there. I'm connected to a lot of different antique stores in different places there that I love. Love the museums. So that's New York for me. And then Paris is just something that's hard to describe for me. That's where I get the most inspiration, actually, because it's always really, if you think about decorative items, it's the cutting edge. That's where all the trends get started. Not like here with sometimes with, well, I guess in fashion too. It's both in Paris. It's both things. Yes. So there's three.
Okay. Those are three good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And things are coming back. I mean, who knows if things will shift based on the variant or whatever, but
I know.
so far things feel better.
Well,
sure.
I got this one on the water. It's on the water now. And I know that's been a huge problem is the shipping. And so I just kept telling them over and over, I've got to have this by August 1st. I've got to have it. And somehow or another, they pulled it off.
I've been hearing things about the lack of containers that are available, and
Exactly.
where'd they all go? I mean,
I know. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
That is a big problem. It's
Yeah.
a big problem.
Yeah, I've heard that. And, not to blame Texas on anything, but the lack of foam is a problem.
Yeah,
too.
right. Isn't that the truth?
Because of the petroleum issue, when you had the freeze.
I know.
But even someone was saying if you want a sub-zero refrigerator, it's 8 months out because there's foam in the door and they can't get the foam.
Yeah, and by the way, I need a new one.
Okay.
Mine's still working, but I need a new one. I guess I better get an order.
Better order it now.
Exactly.
No. Well, I know that through the years, just watching you travel and where you've gone, and it's been important to you.
Oh, yeah.
Keep
Tremendously.
both the furniture and your design business going. So last question before we open it up to questions for other people. What haven't you designed and what would you like to design?
I would like to do a complete line of lighting for a high-end company. I'd like to do sconces, chandeliers, table lamps, floor lamps, everything to do with lighting, because that's what I've specialized in for the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and I do lighting for Kravet too. We do lamps. Yeah.
Right.
But I'm talking about a complete line.
And do you see, there are holes in the market that you think that you
Oh,
need to
of
fill?
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm,
So you see it more of a high-end collection where it's,
mhm.
it's not a
I mean,
sort of,
I could probably work with someone uh, who, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to really look into that.
okay.
I shouldn't say anything because I'd have to look into it.
Is there any sort of kind of project that you've never done that you've always wanted to do?
If there were a fabulous boutique hotel like Ken Falk just did the Commodore Perry in Austin,
Yeah.
it's a fabulous place and he did the best job. I mean, I can't tell you how great it is. You feel like you've gone back to 1924, but in the right way, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so it would have to be something like that. It could not be, I mean, I have no interest in doing hospitality at all. I think people who do it are great. And I've had some work for me and they've been lovely. It's just not something I want to do. But if it's a small boutique hotel, so it's kind of specific. I really love what I do already. And so it would have to be something special for me to be tempted to get away from what I'm already doing.
Right. I would say the advantage of doing a boutique hotel is that sometimes if a client doesn't entertain, no one gets to see your project.
Right.
And with boutique hotel, it becomes a calling card, much like restaurants do as
Yes.
well.
And I think that's true. Hmm.
And then it gives you more exposure to your work.
Yes, absolutely. No doubt.
So we just need to go find somebody who wants to build a little
I'd
hotel.
love for it to be historic and redo it. That'd be great. But I think Ken was the perfect person to do this particular hotel. He did a
Or
great
we could find something on your favorite place in Harbor Island, and
job.
you
Yeah.
could visit more often.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That'd be great.
Well, let's see if we have any questions from our audience. Lauren, are you with us?
Yes, we have a question from Marcus. Marcus says, hi, Keith. And Marcus would like to ask Jan, is there a secret to maintaining relevance over time? You're someone whose work has always been beautiful and never seems dated. Is there a method/secret, or is it simply the byproduct of being an elegant woman with good taste?
Gosh. Well, the answer to that is, um, I'm always wanting to change things too. I mean, from one time to another, there are little things that have changed in my furniture collection and Kravet and all that. I mean, it's I'm inspired by what I see when I go to Paris, and sometimes all of a sudden I'm starting to see wicker, rattan, which is something I already love. And so, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start bringing this back. And this was like 10 years ago. And now it's incredibly important. Um, and then, so I try to stay relevant that way. And then when Jim asked me, my husband asked me, why are you doing a third book? Um, I, the number one reason is because I had so many wonderful photographs, and that was the number one reason. And they've been asking me to do something about glamorous living, and that made sense. And then I had over 200 photographs. And I said, also, the reason is I want to be relevant. And so, yes, I think that helps you stay relevant. Um, and I'm going to do a fourth book as well. So we're working on that now. We're photographing lots and lots of projects right now.
Just Jim know about that.
He's over here. He's over here going, no, like this. But you know what? This one actually didn't require as much travel as the others because I could not do book signings, which was kind of sad. But we sold tons of them online, which was great.
Well, I think Marcus brings up a good point, which is the it's about staying relevant, and always sort of
It is.
evolve. And that's, if you look at your work, it is consistent, but it's also it's relatable and it's fresh. It doesn't ever sort of get old, and
It,
that's a
it needs to be, yeah, it needs to be fresh. There always needs to be something different, and cool about it. I always look for that. And there are times that that doesn't happen because the client doesn't want that. I can't quite get them to go there. Um, so that, sometimes if you're pleased with it, but it's not exactly maybe as, uh, I didn't push the envelope hard enough, maybe, you know,
yeah.
but that's important to me.
Hmm.
We just finished a really, not large house at all, but well, it's pretty large. It's in University Park here. And she has great taste. And I was over there for the installation, and I just, I was just blown away by so much of what we did that turned out to be really different. And of course, I'm going to photograph that. Yeah.
Hmm. That's great.
Hmm.
Lauren, more questions?
Yes, we have a question from Mary who's asking, I'm so impressed by the Dallas Kips Bay show house. Can you describe how your work as chair informed such astonishing designs?
Well, we don't. Do you mean inform the designers who are designing?
Yes, how
Oh
did
yeah.
the design process?
Oh well, there's a hard and fast rule. We don't do that. We select the designers through lottery and also committee and whatever. But there is a rule, hard and fast rule. You don't tell designers how to design. So you don't do that. And so we don't really, you pick designers who you think are going to do a great job.
I know it's a lottery, but do you also try to find people that there's some sort of continuity and synergy between their styles, or is that
Sure.
not?
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Okay. And how much does the house itself inform who the designers will be?
The house itself is really important.
Mhm.
Really important. I mean, this year's house has a perfect floor plan. We're so excited about that. And the investors who bought it are taking everything, putting in new floors downstairs. People are not going to have to do any demo whatsoever, which is really great.
Right.
And finding something like this was a real coup. And I want to give a lot of credit to Chad Dorsey, who's one of my co-chairs on this. He is nonstop an amazing guy and an amazing designer. And um, he put all this together, which was great.
And this was last year was the first year you had worked together, right? On Kips Bay?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we're Chad and Jean and they were my vice chairs last year, and I was co-chairing with Christopher Peacock. But because of COVID, Christopher wasn't able to come much, and so I really worked with Chad and Jean, and it was really wonderful. They're two great designers and two wonderful people to work with.
Yeah, I'm getting to see Chad in a couple of weeks. He's coming to our luncheon here on Shelter Island.
Oh yes, I just adore him. Yep, he's one of my favorite people.
That's great. Lauren?
Keith, I believe we have one more question from Olive. Jan, you mentioned that your lamps are made with Murano glass from Venice. Can you share with us why you like this type of glass so much for your lamps?
I think when I was a little girl, I fell in love with beautiful glass. My grandmother had collected a lot of beautiful cut glass and other forms of glass, and my mother had beautiful crystal, and I just fell in love with it. And then I started seeing Rhino glass, and they made such beautiful product back then, and they still do. Um, so it's just always been one of my favorite things. I have a passion for it, especially when it's really good. I mean, I am very picky about it. So, what I buy is extremely, uh, I'm very selective, and what we make, I'm very selective about. But it does bring a beautiful look to a room. It really does. And I love ceramics too, as well. I do love ceramics, and ceramics are harder to find. But I mix in my antique showroom and vintage showroom. I mix a lot of ceramics and uh, Murano together. So I just absolutely love it. It brings something that nothing else can to the room.
So I think unless another question pops up, I wanted to sort of ask you one last question, which is, we've all sort of been at this a long time and watched a lot of change in our industry.
Right.
Certainly never seen anything like COVID before. But what have you sort of learned from the changes that, have kept you, evolving all these years? Is from the day, you started doing this to today, there's been so much industry changes, whether it's technology or just the way we operate or the way people think and how much people now love their homes. What do you think, is there a secret to staying relevant and making sure that you are at the top of your game?
No, I'm always listening to everybody who works for me, who all are younger than me, lots younger. And I'm listening. Sometimes they think I'm not, but I am. And I was encouraged from an early time to really get with having a great website, um, focusing on everything on the internet. And we've done that for a long time. And so then we made our antiques become so that you could buy them from us directly. And it all of that has just added to, and then of course we got involved with Instagram a long time ago. I can't remember how old it was when we joined it, but a long time. And that's a great way to advertise new things you get in that you can show. I can't tell you how many times that sold tons of products for us. And so, yes, we did. And I adore magazines, and I still advertise in magazines, and I don't ever want magazines to go away. I just don't. I mean, there's a romance about magazines that I just think I'll always have. I mean, I grew up with them, and that was kind of my window to the world, and I loved looking at them. But no, I still think there's a good place for magazines and for looking at things on the internet.
Yeah.
And so I guess, I don't know if that answered your question. I guess I'm just really, really thrilled that I have younger people working for me, people who understand all of that so well. And we've certainly kept up, I think. I feel like maybe I probably should be on TikTok now,
Okay.
TikTok, I mean, I think that's the next thing I'm looking at.
Okay.
And I have noticed something, of course, it depends on what you post, but I have noticed that there are so many people on TikTok. Apparently they're on that maybe more than they are some other.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah. I've got to figure that out. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to have to ask my granddaughter.
Yeah. Or I'll put you in touch with my teenage sons, because
Yeah, your teenage sons and my granddaughter could teach us exactly what we want to know.
just don't become their friends, because I'm scared of what you'd see.
Oh gosh.
One thing I do want to comment on, Jan, is that as talented as I think you are, you're also a tremendous businesswoman. And I think that's part of the success too is realizing this is running a business. It's not just
Oh
about,
yeah. Oh, I've always known that. I majored in business at
yeah,
TCU, and proud of that degree. But I definitely understand diversity in this business, and seeing where everything's going. You've got to always be aware of where things are going and what's 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 working and what's not working.
yeah. Well, that goes back to your saying that you're listening. You're always listening, and
Always.
that's how you're.
Yeah.
That's how you pay attention and
Yeah.
change happens.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, this has been wonderful. I
Thank
love
you.
seeing you,
Well,
and
I've enjoyed it so much. It's been fun.
all right. Well, thank you again, and hopefully we can see each other next month.
I hope so. In Montecito.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much, Jen and Keith. That was a
Thank
wonderful
you.
interview. Amazing. And we invite you, if you want to learn more about Studio Designer, you can attend our live demo every Tuesday at 2. And we have a number of upcoming guests later this year. Edward Yadid next month, and Elizabeth Roberts in September, and Nicole Hollis in October, and then Suzanne Tucker in December. So we invite you to register, and when you exit this webinar, you will be led to a landing page where you can view this recording and register for future sessions. Thank you so much for attending.